Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, as I've finally got back into the game after New World Beta has now finished, I've been trying to catch up on the grey hairs from my last video. But while I was sort of working through them, or still am working through them and trying to learn them a little bit, I ended up bringing my unit of Paladins with me. Always do, my favourite unit in the game by a long way. And yeah, I've just been reminded kind of why I love them so much as a unit. I know we covered these guys in a video before, but I'm not quite ready for my grey hair video yet. I want to just get a little bit more practice in with them, hopefully get some slightly better clips with them, because I had some decent ones, but there's also a lot of me doing really terribly with them. So I thought we'd have a little bit of a side tangent through the Paladins first, take a little bit of a look again at what these guys are like and why I just absolutely love them so much. Because not everyone does. Some people think Stalwarts are better. Some people don't even like the Paladins, which is just unbelievable to me. They're just by and far my favourite unit in the game. They're obviously the upgraded version of the Man-at-Arms. So if you haven't got them unlocked, you do them through the Season 5 unit challenges. In terms of sort of stats and veterancy, they have really good defensive stats, which is nice. This is frontally. They actually have a rear weak spot on the back, like a spear unit. So they are more vulnerable if they get hit from behind. But they have really good, almost 1,000 piercing defense, 890 slashing defense. Means they hold up really, really well in hand-to-hand. But more than that, they get an active block. And so that means that they can walk forwards, stab, kind of like a longsword hero does, and yet still be blocking. So they get their full blocking pool. And they're really one of the very few sword units that get this, and that's what really takes them sort of up and above. Then when you add that in with a really solid defense, the fact they get a charge, which is really, really nice. It's a really solid charge. Honestly, it's one of the few charges that will hit frontally through a unit of Stalwarts. Can often kill Stalwarts with these guys. And they get a self-heal. They call it the Battle Prayer, but it's in the same effect. It's the same as like an Iron Reaper's self-heal. It does do a little bit of healing on allies nearby. That's not really how I'm using them. That some people kind of prefer the top line because of the self-heal allies. It gives you significant cooldown on this self-heal and other sort of increases like that, which is nice. I get that, but for me, they're my ultimate offensive unit, and that's what I want them for, not as a sort of support capacity. And that's why I've gone down the bottom line. Things like the damage increase, the piercing AP, although there was a piercing AP on the top line as well. But things like the 10% increase to all defensive stats is really nice. Slashing point increase, piercing defense increase. And you still, even going full bottom line, get enough to get the extra blocking that you get along the top line as well, which really kind of just reinforces that for me. So for me, I prefer the bottom line. Definitely viable on the top line as well, though, so both kind of work. In terms of doctrines, I fairly highly spec these guys out. Ironsides is the one that's really, really nice. That's adding 150 defensive points when you activate that. And when you consider that we're already at 992, so we're going to be about 1,150 when we put our Ironsides doctrine on. That's not bad, right? It's getting pretty good at that. I've also got defense doctrine, increased piercing and slashing defense, which is why some of the defensive stats are perhaps a little bit higher than you might expect. The increased piercing damage, because the benefit over Men-at-Arms, which I perhaps should have pointed out in the veterancy line, is that these guys are full piercing damage in terms of their attack. So that makes it much easier to spec them for doctrines. So I can get this piercing damage here, and I put on an epic, a rare piercing damage doctrine as well. It lets me double stack these, which is nice. And of course, a breakthrough doctrine for that little added touch. So yeah, I absolutely love these Paladins. Let's hop into some games with them. Kit cost wise, 3371. Pretty standard for a heroic era. So let's hop into a battle with them, see how we get on, and see what we can do with them. So we kick things off on the new Linwu Fortress map. Since we haven't actually done a video on it, I thought it was a kind of a nice clip to use. Now, I've really struggled to take the A point so far on this map, and so I kind of latch onto this Nadachi and go around the corner. Really, in combination with them all, a little bit of the pike stuff, we're able to sort of dominate this unit of grey hairs, really before my Paladins even arrive on scene. But the Nadachi basically makes a run for it back to his allied unit of Tercios, which I'm not entirely sure was helpful for the Tercio player, because of course we followed him, and yeah, now his Tercios have got a units of Paladins on top of them. just Xing and Ving them. That is the key to this unit, X and V. A bit like the Iron Reapers, you press X to push them forwards into the target, press V, and because you've moved them, when they go into V sort of attack mode, they basically all auto attack at the same time. So it's a way of sort of increasing their damage output. That's why you do it. Anyway, completely wiped out those tercios, grabbed ourselves a hero kill. So we've now done a tercio and a unit of grey hairs. And as we're coming back to the point, we get these squires. I could charge in here, but realistically it's just not necessary. I can just push the unit in X and V and they just die so fast because it's sort of a bit of a lower tier unit. Just not a problem for me. Need a little bit of health on a few of the units. Perhaps so does the Maul here with his unit of Paladins as well, so we're healing up. Get a few bits of shots from range, which is why I turn the unit back round to face into the arrows. And then because the arrows are shooting at me head on, I end up sort of being forced left. Now, I'm trying to get back to the A point now, but seem to be ending up further and further away. And so as we come around this corner, this same Nadachi goes for me again, which is a real mistake on his part. You can't win against a unit of Paladins like that. I can just X them onto you and instantly kill them. But that means I know these were his javelins. So, I mean, I can't not come and kill these guys now. I feel kind of bad, but it's just a free kill. Because obviously he just threw his life away. That's why keeping yourself alive is so important in matches, because otherwise you can't control your unit to defend yourself. So we're now about as far away from the A point as I can be. And this Poleaxe basically plays a similar game to the Nadachi, and with pretty similar results. He managed to keep alive for a bit longer, until I get the unit on top of him, exit on top of him, press V, insta-hero kill. So, I don't even know how many hero kills we've had at this point, but our good old friend the Nadachi is back. I thought he was going to pull those pipe militia in front of me, so I tried to preempt with a charge. Doesn't quite pan out, but not to worry, we can deal with a unit of pipe militia. The active block is so key here, because it can just push through them. They block the damage, block the hit from the pipe militia, and I can just X and V them through the unit, and look how quickly those pipe militia go down. And pipe militia are a great unit, but they can't hold in that sort of situation. But really, we've been really playing to the strengths of the Paladin now. Lots of one-on-one fights. Really, I find you can almost always win in the one-on-one fight with Paladin. Such a dominant unit. But we've now got 2 minutes left. We need to take the A point. And because I've left myself so little time, I've really not got much in the way of tactical options. So I just sort of go for it. The charge is good. You know, the charge damage is always great with Paladins, but now I'm basically in the middle of a unit, and as we talked about at the start, they get increased rear damage. I unfortunately get myself killed, and now the Paladins are sandwiched between 2 units of enemies, so they're always being attacked in the rear, and they just get absolutely slaughtered. So important to try and protect the back, but really, my problem there was not leaving myself enough time to really try and work that A point. I just left it too long. But so long as you can keep everything sort of in front of you, make use of their charge, and really sort of use the active block, because, you know, frontally that's what they're gaining, then they're really just second to none, in my opinion. I still don't think any unit really competes against them to the same level. And so that's why they just continue to be my favourite unit. I have been enjoying the grey hairs, though, having said that, as we've been kind of pushing towards trying to get a video on them. But at least I find them a little bit more niche, a little bit more sort of finicky to use than my Paladins. Or maybe I'm just very used to my Paladins and kind of really fallen into the rhythm of them. Having the iron sides on them really does make kind of a nice little bit of a difference, does make them a lot more tanky in those situations. It's always worth using the charge in a lot of situations. I guess it varies slightly in the sense that I don't use it in every situation. There was certainly an argument to be putting the charge cooldown doctrine on them as well. I just kind of, I don't know, I just find I tend to use it at the start of the fight but not throughout, which is maybe a mistake, but it works for me, so if it's stupid but it works, then, you know, keep doing it. So, I don't know, maybe I won't put the cooldown doctrine on them, but I think it could be a good idea to make use of. And of course you've got that self-heal. So you've got a good charge, a self-heal, and a defense buff. I mean, just what's not to love? And kind of as we've seen in the clips, they even work pretty well against Imperial Pike Guard. I guess, as you can kind of see here, it's a little bit of a niche spot because it's not a very good spot for the Imperial Pike Guard. They get the initial lockdown, but Once the unit goes into general attack, they get their active block status. So then it's like an Imperial Pike Guard is just walking into a unit of stalwarts. It just doesn't work for it because it's walking into a unit with a block. Because the Paladins start acting like a shield unit because they have the active block, like a longsword hero. And so it doesn't even knock them down. So they're even really Imperial Spearguard proof. And makes them a pretty fantastic unit. And then you've managed to get it topped off with a juicy unit of Pavis, which managed to nicely line up. So, yeah, big fan, love the unit, still my favourite unit in the game. How do you guys get on with Paladins? Would love to hear your kind of thoughts on them, if you enjoy them as much as I do. Do let me know what you think about the video, of course, in the comments down below, and of course subscribe to the channel for a lot more Conqueror's Blade content, and at the very least, hopefully a Greyhair Garrison video soon. Thanks for watching guys, and see you all on the next one.